Dun, 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 dun. Not bad. Map action, huh? Doo-doo. How you doing, sir? Is Lenegis done for? The residential quarter is falling apart. Falling apart at the seams and such. So it would seem. You got healing going on. With everything all topsy-turvy in the residential quarter, there are lots of injuries. Stuff keeps dropping on people, and they're also falling down. I fell. So did you.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zeugles have stopped heeding our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know. We have no choice but to grin and bear it. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on Dana.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
As your lordship wishes. First Lenegis mutates beyond recognition, now this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Huh.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Well, the Sovereign knows best. His will works in mysterious ways. Do they now? How you doing? Can anyone hear me? Please, someone answer me. What's going on? Why can't I reach anyone? No. 3 strawberries. That's random. Strawberries are kind of rare as far as ingredients go. How you doing? Huh? Where am I? I just went out for a walk, but now I don't know where I am. I don't know. Everything's falling apart and looks completely different. I can't get a hold of Mother and Father either. You have nothing to fear, kids. I'm sure there's a reason for everything that's going on. But even Zeugles are out running loose. That seems dangerous. Zeugles are nothing more than our servants. They may have gotten out, but I assure you I'll have them back under control before long. If you kids consider yourselves to be proud Renans, then be brave. We'll have the situation fixed before you know it. Good on you, sir. Where's that dang Sovereign when you need him? Can't he see the city's in trouble? Let's not jump to conclusions now. I'm sure there's a reason he hasn't appeared yet. Let's simply give it time. You alright, man? Orange gel. Looks like they're trying to fix stuff, or what have you. Heal! In all my years, never have I seen such potent healing arts. Thank you so much for taking the time to help an old woman like me. She even unlocked Globetrotting Foodie. I think that's for getting 30 recipes. Non-DLC recipes. Fancy parfait recipe. A lavish parfait filled to the brim with fruit and cream. Though extremely satisfying to eat, eating one risks developing more than a few cavities.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale in comparison.
They're good.
Your lordship. Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you. I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen anyone of that description?
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time.
I wonder if they'll put the current crown contest on hold. There is no current crown contest, sir. Hate to break it to you. The Zoogles suddenly stopped listening to our commands. As soon as we turned our backs, they bolted for the horizon. Nothing like this has ever happened before. We have to put the crown contest on hold. We can't carry it on while things are like this. Yeah, have fun with that. Wah. It's your problem.
Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home, is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dana competing in the crown contest.
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renin, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegis from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign, though it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made Sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma, the same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction. Let's go find it.
Homeland Obscurity. Lenegis' citizenry.
I didn't realize Renans oppressed their own kind, too.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself, do you not?
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any Danon city we visited. I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated fairly either.
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard of the Red Woman.
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong place entirely?
It's still too early to say anything for sure.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment until we've exhausted every avenue.
The art of conversation.
Tell me, Dohalim, has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would this be, pray tell?
You know, when you're talking to people around town, the way they suddenly become putty in your hands.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow.
I do. It's called friendly intimidation. Look imposing and speak in a deep, booming voice, and presto, you'll have people wrapped around your finger in no time.
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the eye of the beholder.
So there is a knack to it! How do you learn it? Can anyone do it?
Now you've got me curious. Is there special training to master?
Let's see. An obsession with being elegant is a must. Oh, and it helps to be old-fashioned, too. Bonus points if you speak in a way no one can understand.
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and say it.
What? They look up to you, that's all. I'm just helping them along.
Hey! What's got into Alvin and Law all of a sudden?
I can barely understand a word they're saying. And what's with the weird poses? Was it something they ate?
I hope you're willing to take the blame for this one.
I wasn't expecting them to take me so seriously. I'll go and have a word with them.
I feel truly blessed to have a lord who shows such care and concern for his people. Find the entrance to the Forbidden Zone. Uh-oh. Can't go anywhere without something happening.
With nobody left to run the show, I wonder what the people here are supposed to do. I mean, they're sovereigns up on the Renan homeworld, and all their lords were sent to Dana.
But Dohalim was a lord, right?
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite strict about such matters.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsif, Ganabelt, Almadria, and Volron. Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Well, yeah, why would we? To us Danans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow. Nothing more.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city, going about their day-to-day lives, it gets you thinking.
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too, you mean?
Yeah, a little.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquiring with some of the locals? Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on Lenegis. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which means they should be more inclined to talk to us.
Renans and their lords, random quest. Alright in. Talk to people who support the lords. You want to know which lord I support? Why? Are you out canvassing for someone? I'm with His Excellency Erwalsi Tilitis. You probably know him better as Lord Balsif. I know a lot of people consider him to be a giant brute. Believe me, I realize he can be an aggressive man. What those people don't realize is how much he looks after the members of his house. Oh, yeah? It's fair to say that House Teledils doesn't enjoy much esteem. Those of us who serve it will be the first to admit that.
Yes!
But His Excellency always stands up against any who would mean us harm. Of that we can be sure. His efforts in the crown contest aren't only for his family, but to improve the standing of each and every member of his house.
Yes!
I owe so much to His Excellency. I could never dream of serving any other lord. Okay.
Balseth had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible. A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
So even he might have had something he wanted to protect.
You... Okay. Shut up, dude. Okay. Quiet you. Lord Dolim, you have returned. Ah, and I see you brought aides with you. Aides? Do you remember who I am, my lord? Surely you must, yes? Not only do I support House Ilkatis, but more specifically his lordship personally. So much so I've been trying to share my appreciation of his lordship to any who will listen. In fact, I was planning to publish my extensive writings on the subject to this very terminal for all to read and enjoy. But since the lines appear to be cut due to the recent tumult, I've been unable to upload them to YouTube. I know. Since you're all here, I'll just read them aloud. There exists a most handsome man, a man who radiates beauty, whose every word, every syllable is divine poetry. He hails from the famed house Ilkatis, and his name, Lord Dolim. Music is his passion, the arts his great love. The scores of boorish, uncouth men of this land cannot begin to compare to his magnificence. So refined and majestic is his posture, why the mere thought of it brings me to ecstasy. Once he becomes our sovereign, Rena shall bloom anew, ushering in an era of prosperity for our grand civilization. Until that glorious day comes, I shall forever be praying for his victory, morning, noon, and night. Looks like you got a super fan. Well, what did you think, my lord? I poured my whole heart into it, hoping to capture your essence. Wait, I forgot to mention anything about his lordship's love for collecting things. I must take this time while the lines are down to append it. Only then will my masterpiece be complete. Okay, then.
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them, too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
Okay. And we got one over here. Still doing some healing over there, I see. What about you, sir? Well, I never. To think anyone would try to tear me away from House Valkyris.
What?
What do you want? Don't tell me you work for Lord Dolim or that dreadful Lord Almadrea, do you? You don't? Well, don't scare me like that. To answer your question, I come from a family that has served House Valkyris for generations. Indeed, I'm doing all I can to support Lord Ganabelt behind the scenes so that he might emerge victorious. Many think him to be a cruel man, but I insist they're utterly mistaken. Though I won't deny he can be strict, he puts Rena's interests front and center like no one else. Why, he advocates that rather than stay confined to Lenegis, we should get on with colonizing Dana and expand our horizons. That way, we will become masters of both worlds and overturn our current minority status on Dana's surface. That is why he seeks to become our next sovereign. Tell me, is there a greater, more noble ambition than that? I think not. It is a pursuit of power for the advancement of all our kind. It is what makes him an exemplary lord, a model above all others. Though I was unable to accompany him myself, my two sons have been blessed with the honor of joining him on the surface. My two son of a bitches. As their father, it fills me with endless pride.
Ganabelt was so horrible to people, yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However, in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Danans?
Okay. Anything else back here? Nope. So we move forward. Mustard style. What do we got in here? Residential Zone 4. Do.
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed. The effects of Lenegis' transformation appear to be less pronounced here. Or, viewed another way, this area was simply luckier.
Either way. How you doing, sir?
Pardon me.
This area falls under the sole jurisdiction of House Kynaris. I must ask you to depart at once. Surely you don't claim to be ignorant of our famed house, ruled over by the esteemed Lord Almadrea. If so, I urge you to listen well. In fact, I bid you listen carefully regardless. Have you ever noticed how, in the history of Lenegis, only a few women lords have emerged to compete in the crown contest? Many have theories as to why this might be, but Lord Almadrea quashed the doubts of any naysayers through sheer might. Test your might. In fact, not only did she usurp her father and previous family master, she also removed her older brother to claim the seat for herself. She is a woman who stops at nothing to get what she wants, who gives her enemies nary the slightest opening to strike. Truly, Lord Almadrea is a woman of talent. Not one in all Rena better exemplifies the virtues of our nation's meritocracy. Soon the age of a glorious woman sovereign reigning over Lenegis shall be upon us at last. I don't know about that.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right, too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one over there. What's happening? I don't get it. There wasn't a decree or anything to announce this like there always is. You're right. Even if this was an accident, a happy little accident, it's strange that we still haven't heard anything from the Sovereign yet. Do my ears deceive me, or are you saying that you don't trust what the Sovereign is doing? I'll have you know that I was a part of the delegation that came down with him to Dana during the previous crown contest. He was a brilliant man, and just as good with astral arts as well. I'm sure he's well aware of the situation and thus has a plan to resolve it. Until then, we must simply wait and trust in his judgment. Have fun with that. Sheep meat! That's as random as it gets. Good, the Zoogles are cut off. They have nowhere to run now. It's amazing to see how those of us with only weak arts can still do this when we come together. Keep it up, team. We'll have these pests taken care of in no time. Uh-oh. You saved my life. I would have been a goner had you not arrived when you did, milady. I understand we're in a crown contest, but I had no idea such a capable astral artist was in our midst. Forgive me for not realizing it sooner. Come on, you don't need to bow so deeply. All I did was strike that Zoogle's weak point. I didn't even get to go down to Dana for the crown contest, so I'm not sure how to feel about all this praise you're heaping on me. Guess we all have our problems, don't we? Where's my house? I don't know how to get home. That sucks. I just hiccuped. Sorry, authorized personnel only. The damage beyond here is too severe. You'll have to go around. Oh boy. The residential quarter is completely ruined. The roads are a mess and we can't get any power. The info terminals have gone dead too. We can't get in contact with any of our fellow Renans on the ground in Dana. I wonder if the Sovereign's aware of what's going on.
Ridiculous.
How loathsome. Oh, I was just reading about Volron. Can I help you?
Okay.
I was always an ardent supporter of Lord Urwagal Hildress myself. Were it not for his sudden death down on the surface, I likely still would be. In my eyes, Lord Urwagal is the true Water Lord. I don't believe for a second that he perished in some accident like they say. As for how Volron runs Ganeth Haros, don't get me started. I hear he enslaves not only Danans, but even his fellow Renans. We may live in a society where to the victor go the spoils, but his actions go against what we as a people stand for. Besides, just what sort of family line is this house insignia of his anyway? I'd never heard of it until he came along, which means they must be among the lower dregs of society. That such an ignoble lineage could suddenly produce an astral artist capable of ascending to lordship is unheard of. None of it makes any sense, not to mention all of the upheaval around here of late. What is happening to our people?
It seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganeth Haros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Renan, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you, because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too. Falstaff and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one.
Indeed.
I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else.
There you go. 100 gold, 220 SB. Oh yeah. Alright. Take care of that bullshit. Do 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 do. Grape gel. But those are very rare, by the way. Father, what's going on? I'm scared. I'm not sure, son. Never in all my years here on Lenegis has anything like this ever happened. Not even once. Not even that one time in 1822. There's always been a decree before anything takes place. Not only was there none this time, but the residential quarter has seen damage and injuries. Could that mean there's something bad happening then? It's possible. For now, all we can do is wait and hope for the best. Uh-oh.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfricht Milgroth, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfricht whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renan by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Bum, 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 bum. How you you doing, sir? How could any of this happen? For years, Lenegis was a bastion of order and stability. Where did it all go wrong? Probably during the Google Plus integration. That'd be my guess. Everybody's standing around with their hands in their pockets like old bastages.